So firstly, we're just going to run a little bit of a video about how the water cycle works, then I'll just go into some details about SEQ Water and the assets.
Water is vital for life on Earth, perhaps life anywhere, and is very handy for bathing. Our modern urban experience of water is that it flows from our taps and is used or enjoyed and then goes down our drains, in and out. Of course, we should remember that our wastewater doesn't just reach a final endpoint like the ocean and then, I don't know, fall off the edge of a flat Earth into space. In reality, water stays in the system, the water cycle. Most moves around this cycle via a variety of paths. Sometimes it gets around quickly, in days, sometimes slowly, thousands of years, but it does move. And this means all the water you've ever drunk, bathed, swam or washed in is recycled. In fact, we drink the same water that dinosaurs drank millions of years ago. Our planet holds an astounding amount of water, and we naturally assume it's a near infinite resource. But most is salty. And of the fresh water, most is frozen. Fresh water that humans can actually access is the tiniest fraction of the water available. It's far from evenly distributed, and very little is drinkable without treatment. And if you're attempting to provide for a modern city that's growing in a drought, then that supposedly infinite resource suddenly feels very finite.
So we talked about we're from SEQ Water. So what's our role in all of that? What's our role in bringing water to you? Well, our job is to do this safe, secure and reliable water supply for South East Queensland. And we do that with the partners, our water supply partners in this. Well, in SEQ Water, we also have a role of providing irrigation water to irrigators, farmers, all that sort of stuff. So we've got about 1,200 irrigators as well. We also have a role in recreation. About 3 million people come to use the dams for recreation purposes. So effectively you'll see these glasses along the line, and this one here effectively says in 2005 we had about 50% of our combined capacities available. This is right at the beginning of the drought. By 2007, that combined capacity, that's not one dam, that's all dams, that combined capacity had dropped to 20%, and people were starting to get worried about things. The main dam, which is Wivenhoe Dam, which supplies about 45% of the water, was down to 15%. There was a lot of pictures. This was a common occurrence across the country. Everybody's dams and water supplies were down. During that time, the water businesses were managed by councils. There was no real state involvement, so they were all run individually. No integrated system. The yield gave us about 305,000 megalitres, and people were using roughly 300 litres of water per day. 300 litres per person per day, right? It's a lot of water. And from the time 85 to 2015, we've put an extra 1.8 million residents on that to add a little bit more pressure to the system. So we were exposed. We got lots more people, a lot of people using water, and if the rainfall wasn't there, then our system was vulnerable. So where are we now? I think Mike said earlier, our current combined dam capacity is sitting around 99%, so we're pretty good. So we're sitting in a good position at this point in time. We have good water security at this point in time, but we only have good water security while we've got a lot of water in the dams, we know how much people are using, and we know at what sort of rate that it's been taken out. Right? So water security is a complex picture. Wivenhoe Dam was 99% in June. It's now sitting around, I think, combined capacity about 95.7%. So you can see it does come down. Typically summer is our wet season, so we might see some filling events, but we also may not. That might drop again and drop again and drop again over that period of time. Our current population, 3.1 million, and people on average are now using 169 litres per person. So a big difference, a little bit more than half of what they were using. That's a good thing, yeah? Because that then therefore means your water resources last longer. If everybody was still doing the 300 litres per day, then that would mean we'd have to build some new assets earlier. We now have one bulk water supplier, so we manage the interaction of those dams, weirs, whatever, to make sure we extract it efficiently. Prior to the drought, everybody, every little area provided their own water to their own community. So as part of the drought response, not only about building new assets, we built all these interconnecting pipelines. And you can see that it's those green ones if you're close enough. They're north-south running pipelines. So effectively, if the water supply in the north gets a bit short, we can move water up to the north from central or south. If south gets a little bit short, we can move water down there as well. Effectively, what that's done is increased the overall yield of the system. Because if we didn't do that, then let's say, for example, the Gold Coast started to run out, they'd have to build their own supplies. And you don't want that because then there's all this infrastructure potentially in the wrong places, right? So this one here is the Western Corridor system. Western Corridor system is a recycled water system. This picks up water out of about 8 or 9 wastewater treatment plants, treats it to potable standard, puts it through that pipeline and can put it into Wivenhoe Dam. So the last really part of the grid here, and I encourage you to come and play with this. We've got growth, we've got how much population we expect to be in there, we've got how much water people are using. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that you can look at and see. So into the future, what does that mean to us, right? So a good water security now, but we're forecast to put another 2 million more residents into our region in the next 30 years. So extra pressure on the water supply, more pressure on the water supply. We've forecast a bit of a bounce, but we're expecting people are not going to go back to that 300 litres per person per day. We're expecting everybody to hang around that 185 type number. But you'll see that the yield required has gone up because of those extra people involved. So we expect communities will grow. We expect a whole range of influences, global factors, climate change influences. So improvements to our infrastructure can be made in the short term to give us a little bit more, but eventually we're going to need something different in terms of water supply. So the important point here, and what I said in my opening is we have time to plan for the future, and we need the community's input to make sure that we get a plan which reflects the views of the community. And what we've done is we've released the Water Security Program, and I heard a few people around saying, don't know what water security means. What it means is thinking that we've got a secure future for water, for business, for people, both now and into the future. We've only done version 1 at the moment. We've got multiple versions of this to go, but we're really looking at all of these influences and what sort of plan we have in place. So this is the conversation with the community now.